massive controversy as ever in the Harry Potter world, with Paapa Essiedu being cast as Snape. Cross race blind casting of Snape. Obviously, a lot of people are very upset by this, not just because they're very upset by the constant, continuing presence and dominance of Harry Potter in the mainstream, if they don't like Harry Potter or the author of Harry Potter. Also because Snape is very clearly a metaphor for some, so casting a black man in the role sort of confuses the issue very slightly or a lot, depending on how confused you are. Tom, do you have a position on this?
Yep, I'm wading in. I'm going in 2-footed on this one. Why not? No, yeah, okay. It's a very strange thing, isn't it? So we're gonna kind of set aside Harry Potter, the origins, the author, that kind of thing for now. Let's just park that, because that feels like it's a whole other episode. That's a side special that you're gonna have to do at some point about sort of, separating art from artist. I think what I've seen recently, I follow a channel on TikTok, which is a woman talking about, can a TV show or film, can they write black characters? And it's really interesting as sort of, someone, I consider myself a creative, to sort of, ask these questions. And they were recently covering Severance, and how the character of Milchick in Severance has sort of been given another dimension, given some of the things which have happened in series 2 of Severance, with regard to sort of his race and his role within Lumen, and how actually it's a really smart way of, at first just having a character and then showing you're not sure, because of the way that Severance works, whether race plays a role in the world of Severance. And actually series 2 and revelations in series 2 show it clearly does, and it shows it in this very interesting and very Severance-y way, which is offbeat and quite unnerving.
Which is offbeat and unnerving, and a beautiful satire on the ways in which corporations incorporate
Exactly.
racial awareness and affirmative action in ways that are just buttering their own bread, and
Yes.
are deeply sort of unsettling and disconcerting if you think about the implications and the way that they're doing it very cynically,
Yes.
without denying the emotional resonance. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. Without
Me too.
denying
Yeah,
the
big sort
emotional
of.
resonance for the character of what they're doing.
Yeah.
For him, but also it's
Mhm.
so cynical and gross and disgusting and clearly insincere on their part, which
Yes.
doesn't mean it
Yeah.
doesn't have an impact for him. And
Mhm.
we're not sure how much he's aware of how cynical it is from them, whether
Yeah.
he's a true believer or not.
Exactly. And very well done, because yeah, I don't want to sort of go into too specifics, because it's a brilliant scene. Seek it out if you haven't seen it. But this is just me talking as well as like a viewer rather than anything else. But it does then mean that Harry Potter, I think, to do any character justice, needs to decide whether it's going to do the Severance thing, which is say, no, race exists. The racial dynamics that exist in our world also exist in the world of, for instance, Severance. And Harry Potter needs to decide, to what extent, is this character just, is it colorblind casting and it's just Snape and he's going to be basically Alan Rickman but played by a different actor or whatever? Or are they going to actually try and give this character more dimensions, given that I think that each series is going to last like 10 episodes, so we can get a lot more of it. You'd hope more dimensionality to each character. They're going to need to decide whether Snape being played by a black man is going to play a part in his, is going to be relevant to his character. And I'd hope that if you've got a brilliant actor like Paapa Essiedu, that they would make it relevant. And then you've got to go through the entire Harry Potter universe and go, okay, this is a universe in which the racial dynamics that exist in our world also exist here, or slightly differently, something slightly different, and then see how that informs the character. I don't envy that job of the writers, because I'm
Well,
not sure. Mm,
particularly as the premise of Harry Potter, as far as I remember it, and I haven't read it since I was a teenager,
mm,
and even then I didn't read all of the books. But
mm,
the idea is that you have a world in which, the
mm.
wizarding world, there isn't racial tension along color lines. There
Yes.
are racial tensions along wizarding pureness of blood, and so that it doesn't really matter what color your skin is. It matters what your ancestors were in regards to magic ownership. Uh,
Yes.
so you can have somebody, but then of course Snape in the book is a half blood along those
Mhm.
lines, so he's racially impure according to the Harry Potter internal
Mm.
wizarding world. But then also the wizarding world does cross over into the real world, so you cannot
Yeah.
imagine people who are entering the wizarding world
Mhm.
being completely cut off from their own history. You know, they're
Yes.
11 when they enter Hogwarts if they are mudbloods or of mudblood heritage. So they will be
Mm.
carrying some of that awareness. And is that erased by the presence of wizarding magic, or like what have we got here? Is
Mm.
there can Snape brew up a potion that makes you unconscious of racial biases? Um, but Paapa Essiedu will do a great job of the performance. The question is what that
100%.
performance will be and what it will say. We've gone too deep, I feel, for
Gone
a
to
snappy new
yeah.
version, but it feels like there is so much here.
Also, I forget. Sorry, I because I'm not a huge Harry Potter scholar. But once you've joined Hogwarts, do you then never interact with the real world again? Like, are you not? Do you not just like go shopping on Oxford Street or something like, but just don't use any wizarding powers?
Well, the kids go back to their homes for the holidays at the
Yeah.
very least. And then I presume you have
Mhm.
the choice at graduation whether you want to work in the real world or work in the magical world.
Yeah.
Uh, I know that I don't know that the sequels and the Cursed Child and stuff
Mm.
might have some more to say, but I assume that if you could be a wizard operating the real world, which would
Mm.
feel like cheating to some degree, but
Yes.
magic apparently does work in the real world, but you are obliged to sort of conceal it from muggles.
I believe we've entered what is sort of known, which I'm referring to as the Cars dilemma, which is kids love this world, like in the Disney Pixar film Cars. Kids love it, and they absolutely want to imbibe all of it. And as an adult, you tend to watch Cars and go, okay, but the second you scratch the surface of logic, it doesn't bear any scrutiny, does it? It doesn't like. There's a meme about how there's a Pope mobile car, and that indicates that there is a Catholic Church. But that also indicates because there's a Pope mobile, someone tried to assassinate the head of the Catholic Church in the Cars universe. It's basically, I'm not sure. I think with the Harry Potter series, the films are incredible. They managed to get out without anyone sort of going, hang on, that bit of logic and that bit of logic don't work. And the fact that they're going back and going, now we're going to do it in even more detail, I think is going to cause some trouble down the road, I believe.
Yes. Well, I mean, the question of whether there are characters in Bluey taking their dogs for a walk,
Yeah.
as
Exactly.
infinite recursion of
Yes.
which animals are granted sentience in worlds in which animals are people,
Yep.
and which animals are forever stripped of humanity
Mhm.
by the metaphor